Over the past 2 weeks, I read this book called The Five People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. And this book really changed the way I think about not only my own life, but the life of those around me that I know and people that I don't know as well. So basically, this story followed an old man named Eddie. Eddie worked at a pier as a maintenance man. That's how everybody knew him, as like Eddie Maintenance Man. Think of like Coney Island, or think of like another pier. I know, the Wharf in Maryland. Um, he worked as the maintenance man on the pier, and basically, he was old, really old. I want to say he was 83 when he passed away, and he was old and angry and just bitter. And at the beginning of the story, you don't know why. Like, why is this old man so bitter? Why does he hate teenagers? Why is he acting the way he acts? And as the story progresses, you find out why. But just starting from the beginning, which I want to say the first 70 pages are him from when we first meet him to his death. And then the rest of like the 200, however many pages, is him in heaven. And so the first 70 pages just set the stage. They just give the setting, give where they are, just show you basically who he is. I don't want to give too much of the story away because I really do feel like you should read it for yourself. But I will say, give some context. We find out that Eddie has no family members that are alive, no friends really. I think he's cool with Dominguez, which is another person that works with him. But yeah, he's basically alone, and he's old, and he makes like balloons for the little kids. I know they say the little kids liked him. The teenagers didn't like him because he's the maintenance man. So he's making sure the park's running smoothly. He's making sure people aren't fooling around, horse playing. So of course, teenagers not gonna like that because that's all a lot of them do. But when it comes further along into the story, we find out how Eddie passes away. Somebody drops their key into one of the machines, and we later find out that that was the catalyst to the machine actually breaking apart. And Eddie, who's old and crippled, happened to be by the machine, and he noticed a young girl under where the machine was gonna fall. Like, I don't know if any of y'all been to Six Flags, but acrophobia, the one that just falls straight down. So think about that. Like, let's set the stage real quick. Acrophobia, it's like, obviously this one's a little smaller because it's at an old pier, but it's like the acrophobia that just falls straight down. And it broke. Basically, it just broke. And there's a little girl just frozen in fear underneath Eddie. Or not underneath Eddie, but underneath the roller coaster. And Eddie notices this. And as the machine's coming down, Eddie, like he's Superman or something, he jumps out to try to save the girl. And the machine ultimately falls on him, killing him. And although this story is mainly about heaven, his death was pretty significant to the story as well. As right as he's dying, he says he could feel the little girl's hands, which will come back to the story later on. But throughout the whole time he's in heaven, he's just worried about, like, did I actually save her? Like, what, did I die for no reason? Like, was my whole life for no reason? At least can this be like the one good thing in my life that I did? And so throughout the whole time he's in heaven, this is a question that he continuously asks. And like the title says, Eddie meets 5 people. And as he's going through heaven, I don't want to give too much away, but he meets 5 different people throughout his life that he knew directly. Like, one of the people he met was the woman he married. So obviously, you know, he knows who that was. But then there's other people that he didn't really know directly, but had seen in passing by or had seen once. But still, they had a really, really crucial part in his life. Like the first man he meets, which was the blue man. Each person Eddie met also had a very valuable lesson that they were to teach Eddie. And when he first got to heaven, he didn't know these things, but he soon found out that that's why I'm here. Like, that's what heaven is. And I also think the depiction of heaven in this book is so beautiful because it's not what we think. Like, it's not like the stereotypical golden roads, white everything, big old palaces, like heaven that, like, just the stereotypical heaven that we think of, but rather the heaven in this book is whatever you deem heaven to be. Like, and it changes. Like, it was the setting was changing. Like, for Eddie's second person, heaven was a battlefield because that's what that person knew. That's where that first person felt the most like them. So it was a battlefield. And you might think, like, that's crazy. Why would heaven be a battlefield? But it's kind of hard to explain. You'd have to read the book to really get it. But heaven is, like, you know, the quote, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like, heaven is what you deem beautiful. Heaven is what you deem valuable. And that's what heaven was. And it was also cool in the book because in the different parts of heaven, Eddie felt his body, like he physically felt how he was during that time. Like, for example, like I told you, Eddie died an old, decrepit man, really, really disabled. And so, in one of the parts of heaven, he felt like limber again, like he was jumping around, running around. Like, he was like, why do I feel like this? But that's because that part of heaven that he was in, he was way younger. And I always had that question, like, will we go to heaven like how we are when we die? Like, hypothetically, if I die at age 85, will I go to heaven like that? Or will I be my youthful 20-year-old self? And so that was interesting seeing that finally depicted in the book. Like, okay, that makes sense. But like I said, it switched, and eventually he went back to his old, unfortunately, handicapped self. And I just really found that interesting. This story really, really emphasized that every little thing you do matters, and you should appreciate everyone around you. And yeah, that sounds like common sense off the rip, but people don't really think like that. Like, and I like to say that I'm aware, but there's even times I'm not thinking like that. Like, let's say I go get something to eat, and I don't know. Let's say I drop $5 on the ground, and yeah, I'm like, dang, like I dropped my money. Like, oh well, I'll get it back. You're not gonna be thinking much of that again. But somebody could come by, pick that up, and need that money to eat, or you could give people food to eat, and you not think much of it. Like, okay, I did a good deed. But that very well could have saved somebody's life. That very well could have been the catalyst for that person to be a better person. Like, there's just little things can really like change stuff. Little things that you do could really affect everything else, and you just won't know it. Like, we're like stuck in our own thoughts, we're tunnel vision. And I can't even blame most people because it's hard. Like, you don't see what's around you. You don't see, I can't even see what's behind me unless I got like a screen or something. Like, you only can see what's in front. And most of us only do that. We go about our lives and do what we need to do and don't think about other people. But in reality, like, there's still a bunch of stuff going on around us. There's still a bunch of stuff that we are affecting even when we're not there anymore. And once you realize that, I feel like the way you go about life will change. The way you treat people will change for the better, hopefully. And just the way you love, the way you live, it'll all change for the better. I could really go on a tangent a lot about this book, and I can't wait till I find some people to talk to about it, rather, because it was such a beautiful book. But I do want to talk about some impactful quotes from the book that really stuck out to me. One of them was, "The only time we waste is the time we spend thinking we're alone." And that was from Eddie's first person. And that's really special because we don't really know, like, or rather we do know, we can't really see outside of ourselves sometimes. The only time we waste is the time we spend thinking we're alone. We think we're alone, and we're never really alone. And even if you don't believe that there's a higher power working, even if you don't believe that there's something always watching you, watching over you, there are still people literally around you. Even if you don't have any family alive, even if you don't have any friends alive, there's people around you. And it may just mean you have to speak up. It may just mean you have to speak to somebody. It may just be as simple as you saying, hi, how are you doing, to a stranger. But you're never really alone, especially not in this world. This digital age, you're never alone. Like, and even if you don't, like, you're not online, like, there's people around you. And that's hard to see. Like, I truly do understand that. That's hard to see. But once you realize that, like, it's really, that's really valuable, because I don't believe humans are meant to be alone, whatever that means to you. If you think that means romantically, and it doesn't have to mean romantically, like, you don't always have to be with somebody, but humans are not meant to be alone. Like, we're meant for connection, whether that's friends, whether that's with an animal, like, you know, you got a dog or a cat or something, like, you're meant to have connection, preferably with another human, like, you know, that can speak to you. But whatever that looks like to you, man. Another quote was, "Holding anger is a poison. It eats you from inside. We think that hating is a weapon that attacks, but hatred is a curved blade that harm we only do is to ourselves. And that's really interesting because, yeah, like you think when you're hating on somebody, when you're saying nasty things at somebody or gossiping about somebody, that you're really hurting them. The whole time, sometimes that person don't even know you talking about them. That person don't even know that you don't like them. That person don't even know that you're in their mind. Like they got real estate in your mind. And it's like, that's only really hurting you. Now, of course, you could literally hurt somebody, but let's just think of it from the lens of you just gossiping and you just holding in this anger and not really doing anything. That's only hurting yourself. Like it said, that's a literal poison. Like, you're not doing anything to that person. And whatever they did to you, it could be so bad. And hopefully not for anybody's case, but something this book taught was forgiveness. Like, because people are going to do you wrong. Like, it's unfortunate about this world. Like, people are going to do you wrong intentionally and unintentionally. And you can't just sit with that in your heart, because that will eat you away. And it's literally like a poison. It's like a weapon, a curved blade. You think you're attacking somebody, but the whole time it's coming back and stabbing you right in the heart. And you got to just let go. You got to let go. Let go and let God. You can't do that. Like, you can't sit with that anger. You can't sit with that hatred for that person, that group. Like, that doesn't lead to anything good. And once you realize that, it's easier to let go of things that once hurt you. It's easier to let go of people that may have done you wrong, or you may think have done you wrong. Because sometimes that's the case also. You think somebody did you wrong. In reality, you just don't see their side of the story. You just don't see their side of it, because there's two sides to every story. But most of the time, people are not willing to listen to that other side, because it hurts. That accountability they're going to have to take once they realize what they did, or what they maybe missed out on, or what, they caused, how the pain that caused to somebody else. Like, once they realize that, it's going to hurt. That takes accountability in itself, and most people are not willing to do that. But hatred that you hold for other people, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Lost love is still love. It just takes a different form. And then this quote ends with, life has to end, but love doesn't. And, this quote kind of tells two stories. Lost love is still love. It just takes a different form. And, you might immediately think of, like, romantically, like you lose somebody that you loved. Or if you finish the quote, it makes you think of somebody that passed away, and that losing somebody you love like that. And those are two different types of losing love. But ultimately, you're never really losing love. Like, it's this song, I can't think of it, but like, she's like, love's never wasted. It's not. Like, even if they're off this earth, it's never wasted. Like, it's still love. And I know it's hard, and it would be so insensitive for me to tell somebody that, like, oh, don't be sad, like, that person passed away that you love. Like, the love's still there. Like, you can't, obviously I'm not gonna say it like that, but it's just a better way to think about it. I feel like that'll help. And it's hard. I know it's hard. Both ways are hard. Even if you lose somebody you love and they're still here. For some people, that might be even harder, because it's like, they're still here and I can't even do nothing. Like, for some people, that might be harder. But again, you just got to live with that. Like, it's fine. Life goes on. Life goes on. Life gets better. Trust me, I know it gets way better. But love is love. And you don't got to hate on nobody for wanting to make another decision, wanting to go another way with their life. And you don't got to live in agony and pain because the one you love the most is not here anymore on this earth. And that's hard. I know. It's so hard. Like, I couldn't even fathom losing some of the people I love in my life that are in my family, even friends. Like, I got some great, beautiful friends right now, and I love them to death because they helped me through so much. And I met so much beautiful people this year, and I know I'll continue to meet beautiful people, but that love that you have for them, that love that you show, it never truly goes away. And that's what you got to remember. That love is always going to be there. It's just going to be there in a different form, possibly. And I promise you, I'm almost done. But I have this last quote that really, really, really stuck out to me. And it kind of ties into the moral of the story, I feel. The quote was, each affects the other, and the other affects the next. And the world is full of stories, but the stories are all one. And I know at first you might have to read that a couple times over and over again, because I sure did. But like I said, it ties into the moral of the story. Each affects the other and the other affects the next. What you do to somebody, you may think it's just affecting them. You may think that. But it's very well affecting more people down the line that you may not have even intended to do that. And that's just life. Like, and that's how life is weird. And when you realize that, I don't even want to say weird. Like, look, it can be beautiful. Like, things that you do to one person, or even things that you set in motion. You don't even got to do it to somebody. Things that you set in motion, something that you say, something that you do, something that you plant, whether figuratively or literally, something that you put down, could affect so many other people for the better or for the worse. And that's why I feel like the moral of the story was to treat others with grace and respect. Grace, forgiveness, grace and forgiveness. Those things tie hand in hand. Like, and it's hard, I understand it. It's really hard nowadays. Like, human, like, we're not Jesus, we're not God. Like, we're human. So it's hard. It's so hard to forgive sometimes, especially when people do you so wrong. Especially when you know people are actively doing you wrong, maybe talking about you, maybe physically doing stuff to you. Like, it's hard to forgive. But you gotta step outside yourself, because like I said, you getting revenge or you holding that in, it's not gonna hurt nobody but yourself. And even worse, it might hurt some people down the line that you didn't mean to. And another thing this book really had me thinking of was the word sonder, and specifically that word. For those of you that already know, you know what I'm about to say, but if you don't know, the definition of sonder is the feeling of one has on realizing that every other individual one sees has a life as full and as real as one's own life. And that's real. Like, and like I said before, it's hard for us to realize that everybody else got stuff going on. Everybody else has their own life. Everybody else is their own main character. None of us are the main character, but everybody's their own main character. And that causes people to be self-centered and narcissistic because they can't see outside themselves. And if you know the definition of sonder, you have no excuse to be narcissistic. You have no excuse to just be so self-centered, so self-loathing, because you know the next man, the next woman has their own life, has their own problems, has their own goals, has their own family, has their own friends, has their own everything. And that's like, it's almost a headache to think about because there's just so much going on at once. Like, the neighbor to the left of you could be having the best day of their life. I mean, the best day. They could have won the lottery. They could have met a new person. They could have got a new hobby, you know what I'm saying? And then the whole time, person to your right is having the worst day of their life. Somebody they love could have passed away. They could have lost their job, lost so much. And then at the same time, it could be you. You could just be having a so-so day. It could just be like one of them regular Sundays where you don't got much to do and it's just normal. And all of that could be happening at the same time. And that's why it's so, so important, I feel, to treat everybody with respect, to treat everybody with grace, because you never know. Like, you genuinely never know. And it may be hard. Somebody may have done you so wrong, or you might not be in the mood to talk. You might not be in the mood to say hi back to that old person at the grocery store, or give some advice to that young person. I don't know how old people are, if you like giving that advice or not. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt to be like a kind person. It doesn't hurt. It may hurt your ego because some people will walk right past you. But, man, ego, you got to kill your ego in order to gain in this world. Like, you have to kill your ego. And once you do that and you see outside yourself and you see how beautiful life is and how beautiful everybody's individual life is, your own life will get better. Your own life will get more beautiful. You'll stop being so pessimistic. You'll stop being so nasty. You'll stop being so depressed. Like, life will go on with or without you, man. And it's up to you. Like, And I know I kind of strayed away from the book, but it's really up to you what kind of life you have. And yeah, other people can affect your life, but you can possibly affect other people's life. You can write your own story and help add beautiful pages to other people's story. So yeah, that's basically what I got from this book. Hopefully you understood that. Yeah, it was a great book. Mr. Album did a good job. I really enjoyed reading this book.